A few weeks ago, I ran the 2025 California International Marathon with a time of 3:45, and I just wanted to film a video to share my overall thoughts and experience. CIM was my third marathon, and so I'm relatively new to marathon running and training, so if any of you have advice, feel free to let me know in the comments. This is going to be a relatively long video, just kind of outlining my overall marathon week, and so if you're just interested in the race day tips and reflections, you can skip to somewhere here on this bar. So during the week of the race, I actually traveled to California pretty early in the week because I had a conference to attend. And for those of you who are in the AI and machine learning space, you might know that this is the NeurIPS conference in San Diego. My fiance came with me on this part of the trip, and so whenever I was done with the conference, I took some time out to just walk around and travel around San Diego with her. We had a lot of food, we did a lot of walking, and we even visited La Jolla, where we saw a bunch of sea lions, almost to like an absurd amount of sea lions. Because I did so much eating throughout the week, I didn't really start carb loading until Friday evening, where I started with some drinkable carbs during a holiday festival in Balboa Park. And then on Friday night, we wrapped up with some room service where I ordered a hefty bowl of pasta and some rice for some extra carbs. So fast forwarding to Saturday, which was a day before the race, this is when we headed from San Diego to Sacramento. We started the day with a big breakfast. I had some French toast and a plate of pancakes. I don't think I finished this all in one sitting. I did finish all the French toast, but I set aside some pancakes because they were just a little too heavy for me to finish in one sitting. After the big breakfast, we headed to the expo. So we got a hotel in downtown Sacramento, and that was a good call because there was actually a shuttle bus that ran maybe around every 30 minutes that took you from downtown Sacramento to the expo and back and forth. So we took that, we got to the expo, and as soon as we got there, the first thing I did was pick up my bib. After we picked up my bib, we just walked around the expo for a little bit. We didn't really do much here at the expo, so after we took some pictures and wrapped up the expo, we went back to the hotel so that we can rest a little bit and to do some additional carb loading. Alright, it's now 3:59. I'm still a little full, but I'm gonna try to down the rest of these pancakes, and I already had a Go bar, so I think that's a good amount of carbs for now. And then I have dinner coming about an hour or so. You also can't forget the syrup for extra carbs. Alright, it's 4:20, it's only 20 more minutes past last time I filmed, but our dinner came. There's some yubu chobops. I think very nice for carb loading. Rice just digests much better for me than pasta, so it's better for me to carb load on these. So fast forwarding to race day, I think I got up around 3:30.
This is a very rough rundown of what I'm gonna be wearing. I do have clothes on already. I'm gonna be wearing the Puma. I think these are called the Deviate Nitro 3s. I felt like these shoes are a lot less clunkier than the Alphaflys. I'm sure you've heard of that online as well. And I've been just training in these the past 3 weeks, and I really like them. So I'm going to be racing in these. These are a carbon-plated shoe, I think. I have 3 gels in there. I'm going to bring 4 more gels with me. I'm going to take one maybe 15 minutes before the start line, and then have 6 to take during the race. It's my bib number 6320. I also have some salt pills. I have a lot with me. I'm just going to take them all with me and, let's back up. Alright, currently it is 350 on nose. Just made my electrolyte drink mix, which is 3 of these BPN packets. I think it's 1.5 grams of sodium in total. I'm just packing up. I have actually all my race day clothes on, but I'm warming up right now, so I'll show you guys that later. I'm just gonna sip on this, pack a little bit, and finish the rest of this half pancake I have left. See you in a bit.
left my hotel at around 4:20ish and got to the shuttle line at about 4:25. CIM did warn us frequently that the shuttles were going to leave 4:30 sharp, and so I was a little bit nervous about that, but truthfully, given the sheer amount of people that get on these buses, and so even if you're running a little bit late, I think it's okay, because I think they load the buses until 5, because there were still a lot of people behind me as well. The bus ride took about 40 minutes, and so I got to the start line at about 5:30. The race was scheduled to start at 7 a.m. I passed the start line at around 7:05. Now, if you did any research on CIM, you should know that CIM is a net downhill course. But don't let this elevation map fool you. I do think that CIM is not a very easy course, especially the first half. The first half, I think, is very unforgiving, so you have to plan strategically. But I actually already knew, starting from this first mile, that this was going to be a tough race for me, since that downhill mile at the marathon pace was really tough. So already from that moment, I actually immediately slowed down and just settled for a pace that felt comfortable enough to finish the race.
It is currently 8:40 in the morning. Kenny has been running for about an hour and a half, passes 15K, and his pace did slow down quite a bit. And he texted me that he was struggling, but I think he passed the hardest point, so hopefully he can just push through.
At this mark, all I remember was I was just profusely sweating, which is not something that normally happens to me. To be honest, I don't remember a lot of the race, especially from the 10K mark to the 30K mark. I was just too busy focusing on just moving my legs one step at a time to get this race just out of the way. I did get to the half mark at around 1:49.18. The only thing I remember was that at around mile 9, I realized that I dropped my Ziploc bag full of my salt tablets. And so I remember running back for about 10 seconds backwards to pick up that Ziploc bag. Other than that, I don't remember much. I got to the 30K point at around 2:36.33. That was about the time that the 3:40 pace crew caught up to me, and I remember trying to stick with them in hopes for a sub 3:40 marathon, but I remember that at miles 20 or 21, my legs just felt so heavy from all the rolling hills that they were just in so much pain that I think I got overtaken by them at around mile 22. And so after all that, I crossed the finish line with a time of 3:45.45 on the dot, which was an 8:37 minutes per mile average pace. So reflecting back on the race, as compared to my Philly marathon video, I don't think my training this time was much of an issue. I think I was pretty consistent despite having an internship with training at the same time. I had about 8 50-mile weeks with a handful of 20-mile long runs, which I was pretty proud of. I do think that though this time, the biggest issue I had was tapering. This was the first time I had to actually take a plane to run a marathon, and given that this was my first time in San Diego, I did maybe a little too much walking for my own good. For example, here's a screenshot of the amount of steps I walked/ran on the week of the race versus how many steps I usually do on peak marathon training, which was about 52 miles. And clearly, I don't think there's that much of a difference. And so I just don't think my legs were freshened up enough to run an entire marathon. Other than that, I do think that I could have fueled better. Just like I said before, I ate too much food prior to carb loading that I just really didn't feel like eating this time. But I think that's a very small detail that probably could be overlooked. Overall, I think CIM was a very well organized race, and if I have the opportunity to run it again, I think I definitely will. One tip that I think I would give to other runners planning on running the CIM course was to really just practice long runs on rolling hills. This was actually the first time my legs felt that heavy during a race, and this was probably the longest it ever took me to recover from a marathon. It took about 4 to 5 days before I can start walking properly. Lastly, given that it was in California, we made sure to wrap up the day with some In-N-Out, so I hope that you can do that as well. And to anyone who's planning on running CIM next year, good luck, and I hope that this video can be of some help to you.